Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 138 of Comic Book Queer's Legacy. I am your host, Brett, and I am joined by EvilJeff. EvilJeff, I have a question for you.
What?
Should we just change the name of this show to Comic Book Queer's ?
Sure, I love it. Yeah, because
Okay.
because that makes it even gayer. Because what's gayer than gays talking about their colon health?
Seriously. We have a lot to talk about right now. There's more action going on in this show than there is in Fire Island right now. Oh, God.
Ooh.
Did
Did you see those pictures?
I did. Yeah.
Gays don't give a fuck.
Nope, because there's the crushing loneliness of being single and the crushing horniness of
Sex addiction.
Sex. Yeah.
I do feel it's sex addiction. I'm telling you, people have come out of the woodworks trying to hit me up. And I'm just like, no, leave me alone.
The sex addiction is a real thing.
Yeah. I had someone from over 4 years ago hit me up. I was like, hey, remember me? I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing tonight? You horny? And I'm like, this motherfucker has been scrolling back.
You are down
through his fuck buddies
list
of people being like, nope, there's a pandemic. Nope, there's a pandemic. Until he's 4 years back, like, what the fuck?
Number 138, Jeff McCubbin.
It is so sad. People, I think there's a thing where people just... they get their dick. It's getting dickmatized, and I think it's very similar to like the AIDS pandemic, where you get so horny, and then you're like, I'm sure this guy's okay. I'm not going to use a condom. Like that thought in your head.
Oh, absolutely. It's
where people are like, I'm
like,
sure he doesn't have corona. I'm sure he's fine.
80% horniness, 20% FOMO, leading to being like, fuck it, I'm just going to go. Drinking, leading to being like, fuck it, I'm just going to be worse.
Oh yeah, there was a new announcement, or I can't remember. I can't remember if some politician that it was just like, when bars need to stay closed because when people are drunk, you can't social distance. And you're like, what? You just figure that out?
Bars are literally people yelling in each other's faces,
I know,
like
right?
spraying viral loads in each other's faces. Ugh, I can't even talk to people anymore. I'm so grossed out.
Yeah. But so we're just stuck at home. Like
we're stuck at home watching a bunch of stuff, reading a bunch of stuff.
I'm putting air quotes, celebrating 4th of July, although I am not feeling very patriotic at the moment.
No, we're going to talk about something later that we very much should be talking about on this and every 4th of July, but especially this 4th of July. We're going to dive into the story of Isiah Bradley in a little bit.
Yeah.
Black Captain America.
But part of me does feel like I think maybe we should replace 4th of July just with Juneteenth. And that should be the official 4th of July. Because why should we celebrate when that all it did was free white men and still the slaves were considered, what was it, 3/4 of, what was the percentage of a human being?
3/5.
3/5 of a human being. Why are we celebrating that? It also just really makes me really confront how much I just let glaze over.
Our tainted past was just so okay. It was just
and I just feel so awful.
We owned people, and then we fixed it. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like, so naive.
Yeah,
so naive. Yeah. We're still owning people. We still fucking own people. Don't even get me started on how the whole reason black men are sent to prison for marijuana is because prison labor runs the country, or at least several successful corporations. Like, it's just so everything.
Yeah.
Comic books.
If you are a conservative Trump supporting that listens to the show, you probably have turned off. And
fuck off. If you are, then go fuck yourself. What's wrong with you?
We say good riddance.
Fuck
and go
off.
kill yourself. But since we are at home and other people are at home, people are getting bored. And so what do people do when they get bored? They do fan fiction.
Masturbate.
Am I right? So let's get to today's hot that I'm sure that too. So let's do some hot topics. What do you say? What do you got ahead?
Hot topics.
Okay. Fellow fan and podcaster Anthony Lobridge Ellis sent us, he's like, hey, did you see this? It is a full 20-minute short film of Gambit called Gambit, Play for Keeps.
I had no idea it was 20 minutes. The link he sent me was a 2-minute trailer, and I was like, oh, I thought that was it. I was like, oh, that's cool.
No, it's some guy named Nick.
It's like a whole thing?
His name's Nick Bateman. He has his own channel.
Is he the actor who plays Gambit?
He's the actor that plays Gambit. And very, very attractive.
Very attractive.
Very, very attractive. And he...
As is Gambit.
Well, yeah, Gambit's supposed to be hot. He's supposed to be, the ladies fall for him.
I think... All right, so really quick. Anyone X-Man, you can turn them real and have sex with them. Who would it be?
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
How have we never had this conversation?
I'm trying to think like, see, I don't want to do Cyclops because I want to look somebody in the eyes.
Ooh.
Logan, no, the metal body. Man, Colossus, that could be really fun. Colossus? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go for it, go for a big, huge, roided out muscle man.
Right.
But then at the same time, if you want to go for a mutant, go for something you could never experience in real life. Maybe I should do Kurt Wagner. Maybe I should do Nightcrawler.
Oh, take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. Of the tail. But then I might meet him and be like, oh, you know what? The actual blue fur is...
Oh, I bet that would feel so good.
But then it could be like, you know what? It's not actually doing it for me. I just wasted this. But then also, see, Iceman, he would be very cold. I would hate, he would have...
Can you imagine if Nightcrawler was like, why is it taking you so long? You're like, I'm sorry.
At the same time, Angel, maybe.
Oh, because he's supposed to be
He's supposed to be gorgeous.
That's your combo of like super hot guy, but also
Longshot
weirdness.
Is supposed to be super hot.
Yeah. Because listen, I think mine's Remy.
You would choose Gambit. See, my thing is that Cajun accent is a little... I would just be picturing Adam Sandler doing Cajun Man.
And which also is something I always came to, so...
There was a brief period of time where I would have fucked Adam Sandler.
Oh, Adam Sandler was super hot in Remote Control. Remember that game show on MTV? And it was before he was famous.
Was the girl...
Before he was famous, he would come out as different characters, and I thought he was so hot.
What was his name? Like Ken 19. Ober? Why do I remember?
Ken Ober. No, Ken Ober. No, Ober. You're right, Ober.
Yeah.
And Colin Farrell and Kari Wuhrer.
Show. Oh my God, Wuhrer and Colin... That's where Colin Farrell... That's where he started.
Yeah. And he was great.
That was such a good show.
I've YouTubed that show recently.
Does it not hold up?
It totally holds up.
Oh yeah. Oh, didn't like when the person lost, they would literally their chair would be pulled,
fly backwards,
through the wall, and be like nah, hey, good.
That show was That show was a cultural reset.
Yes, but it's also definitely for people that are Gen X, because a millennial is like, what are you talking about? Anyone under the age of 40
such a Gen X
has
show.
No idea what we're talking about. Because that's the thing here. As we're fellow olds, as we're middle-aged people, you don't understand, folks. We were alive when MTV started. So there was a thing where suddenly it was like, oh wait, there's this new channel that has a thing called music videos. You fucking millennials and Gen Zers just take that all for granted.
Like, another name for Gen X is literally the MTV generation.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gambit fan film.
Anyway, the Gambit fan film comes. And here, we're just going to pause for a second. I'm just going to play just a little brief snippet so you can kind of hear what's going on. I'm going to put a little scene between a character called Magic and Gambit.
Insurance ain't going to cover a car that car off the back of a truck. Where'd that bitch go now?
Trying to keep up. My employee is hosting very private, very exclusive poker game.
Poker? Oh, shit. Your boss will be pleased to know that you just stumbled upon the creme de la creme of poker players. And it just so happens that I have a little bit of burner money in my pocket. So if the stakes pique Remy's interest, I could be persuaded to attend.
Such a pretty face.
So what? You only said you saw the trailer, Brett.
Yeah.
Did you?
But I
see
saw Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's bad.
She plays a bad
She's like
guy, which is like
villain henchman.
which I can totally see that.
Sure.
But basically, the plot of this is Gambit is finishes a heist, and then Magic appears through one of her portals and invites him to play this poker game. He gets transported to the poker game with Eric Roberts, who clearly has nothing to do.
I was watching the trailer like, that's not Eric Roberts, right? Like, this is like literally X-Men fan fiction. Like, there's no way. It is.
No, it is. And so he gets involved in this poker game, in which the thing at stake is Rogue is being captured. And it's like they're playing to use her or something. The plot is not really what this is about. It's about the special effects, basically. Because then he realizes it's Rogue and that's his main lady. So then he kind of, powers up the chips and then starts fighting everybody. And then he's able to free Rogue. And then Rogue starts fighting everybody. And basically, they end up escaping with a bunch of money.
Right.
And so if you base this just on, hey, I would love to see Rogue and Gambit and Magic together using their X-Men mutant powers, great. Super
does
fun.
Does Rogue do any skin to skin stuff?
Oh yeah, she steals Magic's power and starts using
cool.
And starts using her teleportation.
Ooh, is that how they get out?
Yeah, well, no. Well, that's how she ends up getting out of where she is and joins the fight. Because she kind of breaks free and then Magic comes and starts fighting her.
I saw that part. Like, Gambit throws a card through Magic's portal and frees Rogue.
And frees her, but then Magic's fighting her. But then she takes Magic's power and then she ports to where they are and starts battling everybody. And they kill everyone. This is the other thing. This is hard R. This is like Deadpool rules. Like, they're murdering. They're straight up, no X-Men don't kill. And it is weird seeing the X-Men don't kill. It's weird seeing Rogue brutally murdering people.
Yeah, Rogue's like one of those heart of the X-Men.
Yeah, and just seeing her brutally murdering people, I'm just like, this isn't right.
That's why AOA Nightcrawler was so chilling. It was like, oh, Kurt.
Yeah, it's something where it doesn't feel right. That was the one thing's like, and it's not necessarily I didn't like it, but it was like, ugh. Like, there was something weird about watching Rogue kill people indiscriminately, like killing these soldiers. But I will say it did lead to things that you wouldn't think about how they would use their powers because they don't kill people. There's one scene, I don't know if this was in the trailer that you saw, where Gambit just grabs a soldier by his helmet and charges it. And he's and he runs, and then the helmet blows his head off. So there's things like, you should do that more. Like, if you're in a pickle, you should be doing that more often. Yeah. But in the end, Eric Roberts escapes in his car, and he's like, Shelly, do you have any do you have any juice left? And she's like, sure do, sugar. And she ports into the car with Eric Roberts and just touches him, and he passes out. And then she ports out, and then he just comes to right as he's careening off a bridge and then dying.
What? Just like his career.
So I will say, for special effects wise, it's really cool and really fun. Accent wise, they chose a Southern, a Russian, and Cajun. So everyone had fun accents. If you're looking for an actually good story, character development, stakes, then, no.
X-Men the animated series is for you.
Yes, and I will say that's the problem, I think. I don't know if you've seen like Corridor Crew. There's a lot of these YouTube channels that are just, they have the best VFX people. But when you have VFX people writing the scripts, you basically have shows and things that are beautiful effects, but the stories are just your typical hackneyed.
Yeah, they're all just connective tissue to the effects moments.
Exactly. And so this is what that felt like. It was like, look at all these amazing effects, which is fun. But, whether that makes it a good story. Would I want to watch a TV show of that? You better hire a good writer before I'd say yes to that. So that's my review.
Okay.
Dun-dun-dun-ba-dum-bum. Ooh.
Womp.
I'll give it 3 sugars.
3 sugar cubes.
What did you think, Brad, from what little you saw? I recommend.
I mean, it was fine. Yeah, it was cool. My only thing was Rogue when his cards came flying through Magic's portal and broke Rogue free. Rogue goes Gambit, and I was like, oh, she would say Remy.
That's true. You're like, fuck this, I'm turning it off.
Fuck it. She called him Gambit. I'm done. Speaking of those horny cats, ooh, they got me horny. Ooh. Do you know what I want?
Do you want some X?
Yeah.
Hit it.
I want your X.
Come on. Yeah. So here's what led us to what we're going to talk about next. I was thinking about 4th of July, and I was like, you know what I want to read on this 4th of July? I want to read that Robert Morales, Kyle Baker series from 2003 I never read about Isiah Bradley, the Black Captain America.
Yes.
That's what I want to read, and so I read it, and you're reading it. And that opens up the whole world of, oh yeah, this guy was part of the Weapon Plus program. And oh yeah, that program, I mean, that's a deep and broad program. And there's a lot to talk about in there.
Yes, so that's right. Today, in our deep dive, since there are no X-Book comics, we're going to take a deep look at the Weapon Plus program. From Weapon Zero to Weapon, what are they at now?
16.
Weapon 16. Sweet 16.
Arguably infinity, actually.
Well, true. But Weapon 16, which is about teenage girls. It's prom girls, which they've incorporated into the Weapon X program. That would be great.
It's wild, feral prom girls.
How do you want to start this? Do you want to start with the Truth book, the Isiah book?
Yeah,
or do you want to start with Zero and then get to that when we get to his?
Let's start with Zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Weapon Zero.
Oh, wait, let's back up even more. So we knew Wolverine, Logan, as Weapon X. He was part of the Weapon X program. He was called Weapon X. There was other characters like Sabretooth, Silver Fox, Maverick, Deadpool, X-23 connected to the Weapon X program, just trying to create a weapon to kill all mutants, it turns out. And then Grant Morrison comes along and creates a character called Phantom X who was like, no, you're not Weapon X, you're Weapon 10. You're the 10th weapon.
Yeah, Jonathan
in the
Hickman,
Weapon
you're
Plus.
not the first one to think of switching that up.
So the Weapon Plus program was introduced by Grant Morrison. And so, of course, that begged the question, who are the other weapons?
And the lovely thing is there's been so much government experimentation, it was very easy to retcon a lot of established characters of being like, oh, you were a weapon. You're a weapon. You're a weapon. You're a weapon.
You're a weapon, and you are a weapon, and you get a number.
Which leads us to Weapon Zero, which is someone called John Steele. Am I correct?
Yeah, he's kind of like a prelude. Yeah.
And then once again, this is like being that's the thing with Weapon X. You're dealing with this idea of experimenting on people against their will. And when you experiment on people against their will, who are you going to experiment on? It means you're going to experiment on people that you feel are less than you. Criminals,
The weak.
crazy people, the weak. Or if you're racist, minorities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this first one. It looks like this is like a German thing, right?
So actually, and they talk about this in Truth, in the Isiah Bradley story, before the super soldier program, Project Rebirth, all the scientists on the planet were united in trying to create a superhuman man. So you had America, Britain, Germany, Russia, all collaborating together.
Yeah.
And the result was this guy, John Steele, a.k.a. American Soldier.
And then where did
Who
he...
was a Golden Age character, right?
So this is like an old character. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not much to say there. Let's move on to Weapon 1.
So Weapon
Weapon 1.
Probably I'd say other than Wolverine, this is the most famous weapon.
Probably the most famous guy.
And that's
Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers, Captain America.
It's Captain America himself. Project Rebirth is one of the projects in the Weapon Plus program. Steve Rogers, we've all seen that movie.
Yes.
We know what happens.
Yeah, so we got Captain
what,
America, but what apparently though, the person who made him was killed?
Yes. Abraham Erskine, who went by the code name Dr. Reinstein. So I think Marvel had used both names for that guy, and I think there was a writer who came along and was like, oh no, his name is Erskine, but he was using the code name Reinstein for anonymity, but it's all the same guy. It's all Stanley Tucci in the end.
Did he die in the movie, in the MCU?
Yeah, he gets shot. Yeah.
When does he get shot? It's been so long since
during
I've seen Captain
right when Captain America pops out, right when Steve pops out, he's all muscly.
Who kills him?
A Nazi scientist guy. I'm not a scientist. A Nazi guy.
But
He shoots him and yells something.
So it was all like,
kill.
oh, we've been waiting undercover the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. But because he's been killed, he's kind of the only one. That's the thing. If you're going to kill someone, maybe get their notes first.
Get their notebooks.
With him
their
died
journals.
how to actually do this, which is they had to kill him off because otherwise there'd be a billion Captain Americas. So there's only one Captain America, and because no one else knows how to make the super serum soldier.
But not for lack of trying.
And this is where things get very depressing. And the sad thing is, the thing that's most depressing is this leads us into the next super soldier, Isiah Bradley.
Technically an offshoot of Weapon 1.
Of Weapon 1. We're still in Weapon 1 because it's trying to like recreate that super soldier formula. Now, here's the thing is if you're reading up on being like, I can imagine maybe some redneck or young child being like, this is awful. How can you write something where Americans decide to take African Americans and just experiment on them? Like, that's not American. How can you write that awful thing? Well, it's because we did do shit like that.
Yeah.
This is very much based on the Tuskegee experience. Like, I've read the first few issues of this, and it's called Truth. What is it called? Truth,
Red, White, and Black.
Truth, Red, White, and Black. I highly recommend you read this. It's only 7 issues. It came out in 2003. But that's the thing. It's very much referencing the Tuskegee experiments. And if you do not know what the Tuskegee
of untreated syphilis
experiments are, please look that up. Because yes, the CDC in America rubber stamped lying to a bunch of black people who had syphilis
hundreds
and purposely not treating them so that they could wait till they die and autopsy their body to study how syphilis untreated affects the body. Mm-hmm. That is literally like, that's a crime against humanity. Like that's like, take them to The Hague. That is like horrifying. And it wasn't until one person was like, hey, this is wrong. This one doctor was like, this is fucked up. He went to the government and the government overruled him. We're like, no, this is good. We need to know this stuff. So
We're good.
We're good.
We're fine.
It's just black people that are going to die. It's okay. And finally, he had to leak it to the press. And then the press got it. And then they were like, this is terrible. Oh,
And
we
it
need to
lasted
stop
40
this.
fucking years.
40
by
fucking
the
years.
way.
It was the 70s. So that means you have to think about the civil rights happened in the
30s to the
60s.
70s.
10 years after the civil rights, the government was still saying it was okay to experiment on black people without their consent. Horrifying! You want me to celebrate 4th of July? Fuck you.
Fuck you.
So that's kind of what this is based on. And so this is a story of how the government decided to recruit black soldiers to experiment to try and perfect the super soldier serum. And I only got through the first few issues before we decided to record. And where it ended off was a guy comes, shoots the commanding officer, puts as many soldiers as they could into trucks, drive them off, and then murder, and then just shoot and kill the rest of the black soldiers that couldn't fit in the trucks. Oh,
Yeah.
and so I was like, well, this is just going to get a lot more depressing.
It will. I finished the series and it gets more and more tragic. And in fact, I read an interview with Robert Morales, the writer who has since died.
What? How old was he?
Yeah. I think young. I think he had died of cancer at like a youngish age.
Oh, no.
And he said that he wanted to pitch, I forget who it was to, Axel Alonso, I think. He wanted to pitch the editor the most depressing, the editor, Axel Alonso, asked him to pitch a story, and he's like, I wanted to think of the most depressing story because I didn't want to do the work. I wanted him to say no, and they said yes, and I wound up writing the story, and the final moment of the story is just so fucking tragic. Like, it's, yeah.
Well, to give a brief synopsis of what happens after.
So you're reading about this ensemble of men, this small group of men, right? This unit. So it's multiple characters. There's Maurice, like the African American man from the well-to-do family. There's the sergeant with the burned face. There's the sociopathic guy. So they all get injected with the super soldier serum, and they all become super soldiers. It eventually whittles down to just one of them, Isiah Bradley, who we know is original Captain America. And it's original because he was supposed to meet up with an also Captain American Steve Rogers for a mission, and Steve, for whatever reason, never shows up. So
because he was probably racist too, the asshole.
Yeah. The costume was waiting for Steve Rogers, and instead, Isiah decides to just put on the costume and go do the mission himself. And the mission is to stop the Nazis from doing their own super soldier experiment.
Right.
So he does that. And long story short, the super soldier formula he was given eventually deteriorates his mind. And he's basically reduced to like the mentality of a child.
Yeah.
You do find out he's still alive. He's still young because of the serum. And he meets up with someone at the end who there's a whole plot line introduced in the middle of somebody sort of investigating the story of Isiah Bradley because they happened upon it. Mm-hmm. And that person is Steve Rogers. So it's Steve Rogers finding out about all of this.
Good. And
then going to visit Isiah at the end. And
now,
it's pretty fucking tragic.
I'm trying to pull back my Young Avengers. Is Isiah Bradley in the Young Avengers? Or is it just his dad?
It's his grandson, Elijah Bradley, is Patriot.
No, but when there's an episode, there's an issue. No, because remember, he gets hurt and gets a blood transfusion.
Oh,
and ends up getting powers. Does he get that from his dad or from Isiah?
Oh, I don't know. That's a really good question.
Because I think he is in the Young Avengers. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
I don't know. We'll have to follow up. I do know this, though. So the upcoming Disney Plus program, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, A lot of it is about Sam not accepting the mantle of Captain America because of America's reaction to a black man taking over as Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until he meets one Isiah Bradley that he starts to go on the journey of becoming Cap.
Oh.
So I'm excited.
And I just looked it up really quick. Patriot did receive a blood transfusion from Isiah.
Oh.
So he was in Young Avengers as well.
Amazing.
And that's how we got his powers. Which is funny how they're like trying to recreate all of this stuff when it's like, hey, you could just take his blood and get a blood transfusion. And then you'll get the powers. It's the same
like
thing.
She-Hulk.
It's the same thing with She-Hulk, where I'm like, why are not more people doing it? Because that's what happened to Amadeus Cho too. It's like,
if I was a Genki Lee or Ned in the movies, I'd be like, hey Peter, or hey Miles.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I mean, do you ever think like, okay, so if the Hulk was a real thing, and you had the opportunity to get Hulk blood transfusion and have Super Hulk powers, would you do it?
Hell yeah.
You would, even though you would be green all the time.
Yes.
But you'd also be super muscly.
Yes.
Do you feel like you would, now would you would probably have to run it through by your husband first though.
I think he'd be okay with it.
You'd be like, hey, look at what my pecs will look like. And he'd be like, okay.
Yeah. He'd be fine with it.
Well, that's weapon one. And that's what I'm telling you right now. If you want to, for 4th of July, if you're a comic book reader, please read Truth Red, Red, White, and Black. Please.
It's such a good story. It's such a pivotal thing about the Marvel Universe. And especially after being brought to life in upcoming TV.
Yeah, and I will tell you this. It's sad, and it makes you feel very uncomfortable. And you know what? White people need to feel uncomfortable right now. We need to feel very uncomfortable because we've been living comfortably ignoring atrocities for way too long. So
we have abused so many people.
So it's time for us to confront things and confront our complicitness and do it. So
there's a lot of trauma that we have caused.
Yeah.
Weapon 2.
Weapon number 2.
So this is the one, we might have talked about this earlier, when Phantom X initially walked us through Weapon Plus. You know, I think he said somewhere around here there was experiments on animals. And I remember at the time, immediately as a reader of New X-Men, in my head saying, oh my God, We 3. Grant Morrison's Vertigo 3-issue limited series, We 3.
We 3 kings of Orient are. I read We 3. Do you know why I read We 3?
Why? Me?
Because we talked about it on Comic Book Queers back in like 2008. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
2008. Yeah.
I remember. And it's so emotional, We 3. It's so simple and good and emotionally resonant.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Morrison has alluded to We 3 being Weapon 2. But other writers, Marvel has done other stuff. I think in an issue of Squirrel Girl, they introduced Weapon 2 and it was like a squirrel version of Wolverine. Mm-hmm. And someone else suggested that this UK limited series about animals in cyber gear, Brute Force, was actually Weapon 2. Oh. I don't know. I want to go with We 3.
Or it could have been all of them. It's the same thing with like if it was an offshoot.
Sure. Like 10.
All of the different animal ones were all.
It was the Animal Program.
Animal Program. Now here, starting now, I just want to. So we're at Weapon 2, and from what we can see is whenever you create a super soldier, what does it do?
It rebels.
It rebels. So. At what weapon are you starting to be like, hey, maybe this is our fault?
Maybe we shouldn't piss them off so much.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Because it's literally, they either become a superhero or a villain. Like there's never, I don't see one weapon where it's like, and then they faithfully remained with the Weapon Plus program. Like, no, none of them. They're like, all right, well, that one escaped. That one escaped too. Let's start a new one. Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Weapon 3 certainly fits the bill of somebody who became a super villain, and that is the Skinless Man, who I remember from Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force.
Yes.
And he was for having a power that's essentially like gross Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
He was very threatening.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed very powerful.
Yeah. And I will say, reading about him, I remembered that whole thing when they go to Otherworld with all the Captain Britain Corps was very brutal.
It was very brutal
and violent, and with Jamie and like Psylocke murdering Jamie Braddock, and like and all of them murdering each other. Body. But I forgot they flayed him alive and used his skin to make bullets.
The Captain Britons did.
Yeah. Ugh.
What the fuck?
And that's how he became Skinless Man.
Yeah. And he used to have skin powers, and then he trained his muscles to do the same thing his skin used to do, because he had no skin, just muscles. So gross.
And so then that appeared in Uncanny X-Force as a bad guy, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who do you have for 4?
I'm looking at Wikipedia right now, and it says Man-Thing.
It is Man-Thing.
Well, I don't know who Man-Thing is.
Yes, you do.
What's
He who fears burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. He's the nexus of reality. Google Man-Thing. You'll be like, oh, that guy.
What comics was he in?
Man-Thing.
I did Google it. I saw the picture. I'm like, okay.
You don't know that guy? He's up there with like the Silver Surfer.
I don't read Silver Surfer.
I mean, like, I'm saying he's a character of that level, of that caliber.
Has he appeared with the X-Men or Avengers? Then I don't know.
I mean, probably.
I'm sorry.
Man-Thing's very popular.
He looks dumb. He looks like Swamp Thing, but with skulls.
Well, there was a Weapon Plus series of Man-Thing. He's very ominous. He's very brooding and silent, and he'll burn you if he touches you. But there was the Weapon Plus series that came out last year, or like a few months ago, where it's Man-Thing with like a military helmet and like machine gun, like America.
Fuck yeah.
It's stupid looking. I want to read. I'm surprised I didn't read that for the show, but I will. Okay. Do you know who Weapon 5 is?
Who? Flash
They use
Thompson?
symbiotes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the
like,
Flash Thompson one?
led
Agent Venom?
They use symbiotes, and then their experiments led to Agent Venom, Flash Thompson.
Dumb.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about symbiotes.
I know.
I hate
I'm so
them.
mad.
So, next.
Yeah. And did I say that the Man-Thing was Project Sulfur? I just love that.
Project Sulfur.
Cap was Project Rebirth.
Smelled like farts all the time.
Well, Weapon 6, we've got Project Power.
Project Power!
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think this might be my favorite weapon.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Weapon 6.
And then how did he escape? Like, did he just like, yo, I'm just going to do my own, man. I'm just going to do my own thing. Bye.
Just punched his way out. Like, whatever the experiments that led to him. Okay, we're going to, that's one of those like reframing. We're like, all right, who was experimented on by military kind of, Luke Cage was.
There you go.
Let's do that.
I will say this is interesting because so many of these things are like dealing with World War II and then Vietnam. And now those don't track. Like, you almost need to be like, if these characters are still supposed to be the age they are, it now needs to be like Desert Storm and not the Vietnam War.
I know, like the Magneto problem.
Exactly. Where it's now, we need to switch the wars because,
Yeah.
What are we on now? Weapon 7?
Yeah. This was introduced in Morrison's X-Men. I remember this character being on screen during these scenes when this was all unfolding. And that's Nuke.
Is Nuke the one who has the flag tattoo?
Yep.
I hate it. He was in it was something with X-Force He was in a recent comic of something.
Okay.
I think it was the one where it was Wolverine, Sabretooth, Warpath, and Domino. What were they in?
Okay. Uncanny X-Men?
It was when the Uncanny X-Men was ending before Hickman took over.
Okay.
There was one where it was Domino, Warpath, Logan, and Sabretooth had their own
Yeah.
comic. And I forget what it was called.
Yeah. He's in that.
He was in that, and I was like, this is dumb. Although he just reminded me, I was like, this is like a Trump supporter.
Yeah, totally. He's the first weapon to use adamantium.
Oh.
I read. Also, Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Is Weapon 7?
Nuke is a character. He's
What?
Yeah. He's the what is he? The guy that like winds up using a lot of drugs and is like he attacked Patsy and then he courted her in season 1.
Right.
Yeah. That's Nuke.
Oh.
That's MCU Nuke. 8.
Weapon
I got nobody.
Yeah, it just says they were experimenting
Criminals
on
and psychopaths. Yeah.
So hey,
Failed.
we'll figure it out soon.
Give us that book.
Although it looks like they were still doing it for Weapon 9. They were also experimenting on psychopaths. Because that one is a lady.
Yeah, it's actually Project Psyche, actually.
Typhoid Mary.
It's Typhoid Mary.
I love Typhoid Mary.
That also came out. So this Weapon Plus book, which I think got disrupted by COVID, the pandemic, or something. I know the Wolverine and Captain America one-shot came out, and that's where they had logos for like the other weapons, and that's where you saw Luke Cage's tiara under the numeral 6. And you saw like a theater mask, half and half, comedy tragedy under Weapon 9. So I don't know if these stories have been told yet, or if they've just been set up in that one shot. Anyway.
But it looks like Weapon 9, it looks like Rob Liefeld fucked a lot of things up.
I ignored anything. Anything where it's like, Rob Liefeld suggested that Garrison Kane is Weapon 9. I was like, go fuck yourself. I'm not counting that.
So we're just going to ignore anything Rob Liefeld said. So then there's Weapon 10, Weapon X. We still don't know who that one is. No, I'm just kidding. That one's Wolverine, Sabretooth, X-23. Would they all be Weapon 10?
Yeah.
And I have a question.
The Weapon 10 program.
What is Weapon H?
I don't know what
that
his historical connection. Yeah, but he's half Hulk, half Wolverine.
Yeah, is that connected to the Weapon Plus program, or is that supposed to?
I have no idea. I know it's connected to Department H, Alpha Flight, who may have been involved in Weapon X as well. I don't know. I was turned off by the character.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit.
But I think there is another Weapon Plus one shot where it goes into the symbiote. It was part of Absolute Carnage.
Right.
And I think he was in that. So I think he's got connection to the symbiote program, the Weapon 5 program.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right.
But yeah, Weapon X. I mean, we've heard about it. We've loved it for years. We know it. Deadpool, Maverick, Sabretooth, Silver Fox.
X-23.
Yeah. All of them. What did you see for Weapon 11?
That's the one where it says Rob Liefeld thinks that Weapon 11 was Garrison Kane, although he was called Weapon X.
I have a better answer.
Oh, what do you have?
I found a thing that said, Romulus, who was that mysterious patriarchal figure in Wolverine that was a big, huge bomb. He was somehow involved in Weapon 10, involved in Logan, and he had some connection to like all the feral mutants. I don't know. He experimented with the Muramasa metal, that metal that can kill Wolverine in X-23.
Yeah.
He bonded it to the bones of who he calls Weapon 11, Dakin.
So Dakin is Weapon 11.
You could argue.
Wait,
Dakin.
I thought
is Weapon 11.
Dakin, but Dakin doesn't have. Dakin has that metal bonded to his body.
I have no idea. I was like, wait,
He's
what?
always had bones. It's always bones.
It's always bones, so maybe it didn't take.
Plus,
But, like,
wait. When X-23 had her Wolverine comic, weren't they using that metal where there was
right?
all of those other
Like, and
clones?
they could die from it.
Yeah, and then he was vulnerable
Don't
to
come at
that
me
too.
with that metal. Yeah. I don't know.
So I don't know about
Dakin's
that.
such a mystery.
Well, we're going to find out more about him soon in
Can't wait.
upcoming X Factor, where him and Northstar have a tumultuous affair, where Northstar's husband is accidentally beheaded while trying to enter a Krakoan gate.
Yeah, accidentally.
If Dakin I would love Dakin if he just killed Northstar's husband.
Oh my god, that'll never
Isn't
happen.
that terrible?
Yeah.
All right, you don't have to kill him. Just end their relationship.
Yeah.
I
mean,
love how I
just
become like this. I love how awful where I'm just like, he's not even a mutant. Mutants should
Just
stay
give
with
Kyle
other
a job.
mutants.
Just give him a good job.
Yeah.
I know.
Or make Kyle a cheater. Make him the bad guy.
Ooh. Or make him a villain. Like, make him like an evil mutant. Oh my god, that'd be great.
I think it would be great if he, like, Northstar's like, I don't want to live on Krakoa. I want to be with my husband. And then he, like, walks in like, hey, honey, I'm back early. And he's just in a meth gangbang. Meth-fueled gangbang. And he's
Like that guy that was could have been governor of Florida. What's his name?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is insane. But I hate where it's just
insane.
like, but I hate how it's like, oh, you're going to be like, the fact that, was he even out when he was running for governor?
No.
But that's the thing. This is what happens when you were in the closet and you're that repressed. You end up having like meth-fueled orgies because because it's like if you just came out, you could just be a normal person.
Yeah, you could literally just make out with someone on a bench. And it's fine.
But instead you just hold it inside. And I will say that's similarly where it's like, I feel like when you have a lot more repressive countries with repressed sexuality, where I feel like Japan has a very repressed sexuality, but their porn is very rapey or tentacle porn. Like their porn is like insane, and it's because they on the outside they have to keep it all pressed down. So it's like, just live your life, just be who you want to be.
It's unreal.
Anyway,
somebody who absolutely lived their best life is Weapon 12, the Huntsman, because she broke free and had that really weird adventure on that train with those really weirdly characterized B-list X-Men.
yeah.
That whole segment was so weird. Like Cannonball and multiple men. Like
Doc style.
Morrison could not write that dialogue and sound anything but Morrison. It was weird. He used like British slang. It was odd.
Yeah. So Huntsman is Weapon 12, which leads to Weapon 13, which is probably the third most famous, I would say, which is Phantom X, which I have a feeling Phantom X probably just was like just a one-off. And it was one of those moments where it's like, no, this is an amazing character.
Yeah.
He's such a good character.
Yeah. Great character. You never know what's real and what's not with him, which I love.
Although, where is Phantom X now?
Well, there's going to be a giant-size X-Men one-shot.
So we're going to find out what happened with him. I hope that explains the whole thing of like Xavier being put... I have a feeling Xavier then just was put back into a cloned body.
Yeah, what I read was that when he started, it was him in X's body, and then after getting shot in the head in X-Force, he went back to a cloned Xavier body.
So that was... So all the stuff before that was still Phantom X?
Yeah.
Oh, so that means Phantom X wasn't technically around or alive until then. So then was he brought back too?
I hope the one-shot addresses that.
Does Phantom X have adamantium?
No.
Okay. But he has all those different brains.
Yeah.
That's going to be complicated.
Oh. And his nervous system's on the outside.
But then what about Cluster and where she was separated? But wasn't she separated out from him?
I'm not sure.
Remember when Psylocke was fucking both of them?
Yeah, I mean, clearly she was separated. I don't know what the
But
ultimate
then,
fate is.
yeah,
though.
I can't remember if they were brought back together or not. Oh, explain it, Giant Size X-Men. Explain it all.
Or don't, because when you do explain a character's origins, it's kind of messy, just like Weapon 14. The Step for Cuckoos.
Was it just like literally one line where they're like, it was the Step for Cuckoos?
Yeah,
Weapon
and it was my
14.
favorite. It was my favorite reveal of Morrison's entire run, where they were like, "Weapon 14, activate," and I was like, "Yes!" That was kind of the beauty of Here Comes Tomorrow. Like, so many little threads were tied, and just by mention.
Yeah.
Like, of course you can call me Ernst, dear.
Yeah. Wait, was the
Good stuff.
Ernst thing brought back then too?
Yeah, it's
That-
when
that-
Cassandra
that
Nova
was
was
Cassandra
leading
Nova?
the X-Men. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she says to Martha.
But then, has
"Of
that
course you can
just
call me
been
Ernst."
erased? That's just been erased?
Yeah, fucking Whedon fucked it up. I know, like Austin, not Austin, or Milligan or someone. They were like, shit, Cassandra Nova's slime was inside. What happened to it? I think it was Austin.
Grant Morrison gave you a bunch
And
of
then
wonderful
Whedon did the whole story of Emma, like, brainwashing Kitty and making her think that she lived a whole life with Peter.
Right.
And then she had to reach in and get the slime, so Cassandra Nova. I was like, oh, it's Ernst.
I know, right. But also the fact that then led the thread of where at the very end you saw her go into armor and then they never addressed that ever again.
Never addressed it.
But
All this shit.
Did you read?
You know
but
what?
then the
Whedon
stuff-
yelling at people. Whedon treating people like shit. I should have known when he left all these loose dangling
No,
threats.
Whedon is being canceled. It's crazy.
I know.
Why? What? Did you read the details of what he was doing to people on set?
No.
Yeah,
But he was being abusive.
but apparently everyone hated him, and they all are very excited for the Zack Snyder release, saying that Whedon just is the reason that the Justice League was awful. Now I'm just going to say right now, I highly doubt Zack Snyder's cut is going to make Justice League any better.
I mean, there's a reason Whedon was called in the first place.
Because it was awful. Zack
Yeah.
Snyder is awful. And the only reason his only good movie, Watchmen, was good is because there was already a script from beginning to end of
Sucker Punch
what the story
is the
was supposed to be.
stupidest movie. Sucker Punch is the stupidest movie I've
You know what
ever
it is?
seen.
We talked earlier about, it's all just flash and special effects. 300, Sucker Punch, all those movies are just to show boobs and muscles and special effects with no point whatsoever.
Yeah.
We watched Sucker Punch?
I've only seen it in the theater one time.
Isn't that the
And
one
my
where they're
friends
like
and
all in
I-
a mental institution and they all think
Yeah.
they're super...
And then they
And it's all like
fantasize.
hot girls shooting
Oh,
guns.
it's so stupid.
Well, did you read the Stepford Cuckoo? What was that? End song? No. War song?
Yeah, War Song. I did.
Where basically, I mean,
It was
apparently
abysmal.
Emma Frost had to go through early menopause
Yeah.
because they stole all her eggs
Yeah.
and made 1 million Emma Frosts. It's so
Yeah,
funny
and
how she acted surprised, where I was like, was there no point when there were 5 women that looked just like you and had your powers that you were just like, this
Did you
is
think
normal.
it was a coincidence?
This is normal.
15 is Ultimaton.
Who the
Whatever.
fuck is that?
Who's the guy in Morrison's thing? That's who they fight.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wolverine just guts him. And then I read that 16 is the All God virus. Weapon 16 was a virus that attacked Faith. How about that?
Yeah, good.
Fart. And then it turns out Weapon Infinity is Deathlock.
So is that supposed to be in the future?
Yeah.
All right. But then there is something which finally makes sense called Weapon Minus.
Dr. Mind Bubble.
Weapon Minus was finally like, it's to prevent the weapons from going rogue. And I'm like, well, You should have been thinking of this way earlier.
That's like sort of been the fundamental flaw this whole time. Yeah. All right.
It's like if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, it's your
we got
fault.
to do something to stop him from going rogue. Okay.
What is that? The definition of insanity is
different results, same thing.
of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Like it is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And there we have it.
Well, I mean, like, I just love that Grant Morrison had one idea that was, it's not X, it's 10.
Yeah.
And look what it opened up.
Grant Morrison, you brilliant motherfucker.
Brilliant motherfucker.
And Grant Morrison, let's just dedicate this whole episode to Grant Morrison.
This one's dedicated to Grant Morrison.
Because did you see anything more this week, Brett?
Hit it. Suddenly Seymour
standing beside me,
beside you.
Sweet
I did.
understanding. Grant
So
Morrison.
we had
Doom
the
Patrol.
weirdest episode of Doom Patrol
Fucking
ever.
for real. And this is the
Episode
thing.
4.
I'm telling you right now, Brett. I am going to read Grant Morrison's run of Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
I've Wikipedia'd and I know pretty much what happens, but I'm going to go through it because are the sex men from Grant Morrison?
Yes.
The
They are,
sex
but
men,
in the...
Brad. My head is like, is
Sex-Men.
this a real thing? The sex men. This, I think, might be my favorite episode of the entire series, Brett.
So the sex men are totally different in the book. They're these 3 like big blue skin jacked dudes that they look like clones of one another with like triangles over their heads. They're not the sex men that we have in the show, but the sex men we have in the show are so much better.
What about the bad guy that they were fighting against? Was that a Grant Morrison character as well?
Yes. Yeah. So that that character is the villain in the story that introduces the sex men. And Jane's persona of Scarlet Harlot plays a much bigger role in the comic than she does in the show. Even though in the show she is featured.
Does Scarlet Harlot have powers?
I think she absorbs psychosexual energy in the book. So that's why it was weird to have Hammerhead, the Hammerhead persona ultimately be the one to take down the sex god.
Right.
In the book, it's the Scarlet Harlot persona who was introduced earlier in the episode. Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to tell listeners, if you have not watched Doom Patrol, you need to watch it. It is one of the best sci-fi superhero television shows ever made. It is on HBO Max, and I'm going to say this right now. HBO Max is killing it. HBO Max is way better than Disney Plus.
We watch HBO Max so much. We never watch Disney Plus. My husband is obsessed with Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He's so happy.
I watched all those, but I haven't watched those since the 2000s. Does it hold up? I can't imagine it holding up.
Oh, it does.
Okay. But let's take a brief, quick pause. The only time I have watched Disney Plus was last night. It's the first time I've watched it in months. It was to watch Hamilton.
Me too.
Did you watch Hamilton?
Yes.
Had
Friday
you
night.
seen Hamilton prior?
I had in Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. So you were like, you're on the Hamilton boat.
Yes.
I
saw.
I think I suffered from way too much hype.
Hamilton is it's a rather simple production.
Yes. I think my problem is there was too much. There was times where as my boyfriend was like, I feel like I'm just watching someone rap a Wikipedia page. There's too many parts. I'm telling you, it's brilliant. I do think it's brilliant, but there were too many parts where it's like, and then this happened, and then we did this war, and then we did this, and then we did this, and then we did this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, are you gonna can I just see the characters interact again? That was be my only complaint of it. It was a little too. I wish it was just more about Aaron Burr and Hamilton's relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it did use the opportunity to teach history.
Yes,
right?
yes. But those parts I was like, no, okay. Get to a fun song.
But if you chose, I mean, like the thing about Hamilton is, you know, when it dropped on Spotify, I listened in my 10th time listening to it all the way through. It's so dense.
Oh yeah.
So
I had to watch it. We decided to watch it with the subtitles on because it's so fast. It's just hard to absorb everything.
There, you will have, if you do continue to watch it and like have repeat viewings, you will have I'm actually really into the history this time. Viewing.
Yeah. Oh, it's so dense with stuff. Yeah. But the music, there's so many songs that are really, 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 really good in it. So I've been
singing Helpless all day.
Mine is the King's
the Beyonce song.
The King songs.
Oh, Jonathan Groff. So that was the thing.
So good.
I have never seen Jonathan Groff do it. I've seen Brian Darcy James do it.
Yeah.
I saw the guy who did it in Chicago, who I forget. He was someone who had he had a resume. I've heard Jonathan Groff do it countless times. I've never seen him do it. So that was lovely.
What was with all the spit coming out of his mouth?
Yeah. Well, that one part when he was mad. Yeah. It was a choice for the cameras.
I really like that song though a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of good songs. So that's the one. So it was a lot of good songs and then a big history lesson. So it's great. It's great. But that's
great. It's also, I think, the most important piece of American theater in modern history.
I don't know. I liked Wicked better. All right. Anyway, and people are coming in to take me away. Help! No. My friend was like, do not say anything that you did not think was the greatest thing ever. I was like, no, I thought it was great. It's just not my favorite musical. He's like, no, it is your favorite musical. If you post it is not your favorite musical, you will be canceled.
That happened to me. A bunch of us in Chicago, like a ton of my theater friends and I went to see Evita. There was like 20 of us. And there's a friend who I loved a lot who she and her girlfriend were there. And like I went up to them at intermission and I was like, what do you think? And they're like, we don't get it. We kind of don't like it. And I was like, what?
And then you stopped speaking to her.
Yeah. No, it fundamentally changed how I saw this person. I was like, you fucking suck.
I wanna be in Buenos Aires. Begabo. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. That's the only new thing that's come on Disney Plus. Disney Plus sucks.
Yeah, but HBO Max is great.
HBO Max is fucking killing it. There are so many good shows. I just watched Death Becomes Her last night at 1 a.m.
Stop it.
I mean, it's great. Doom Patrol, though, this show is so fucking good. And go ahead.
This show is mostly about the sex demon, right? This episode, or was there another?
It's about the sex demon, but it is also just diving into the relationship between Dorothy Spinner and the Chief. And is he really a father taking care of her, or was she just a prisoner that he didn't want to deal with and locked up?
Yes. Oh my God, a prisoner in Danny the Street. And Danny has an opinion. They think that Dorothy was a prisoner, and Danny does not want to go back.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so can't wait for you to take her. That's right. I can't wait for you to take her back. And Danny's like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
No, Danny's like, no way. But you were a prisoner, and I'm not doing it.
Danny was a brick.
Yeah.
And then Dorothy, and then all of the denizens come.
The Dannysons, yeah.
The Dannysons come, and they realize
they heal Danny through the power of song and
party. They realize we have to have a party to kind of revive them. And Dorothy sings the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
Willy
song,
Wonka,
which is amazing.
It was so cute,
and it kind of opens up this like epic party, which is great.
Starting to work, heal, yeah.
But that is also when you start realizing, and it was a question that I asked. I'm like, why does she still act like a kid? And it's like, oh, because she was fucking locked up. She's never had a chance to grow up or interact with people. And she was like, I'm 11. And Rita was like, you're 11, but how many years have you been alive? And she's like, 138. And she's like, well, I think you're old enough to have some fucking lipstick. And as soon as the Chief sees her with lipstick, he's like, take that off. You're not old enough to wear that. Which is where you just start seeing how fucked up the Chief is. I hate the Chief, Brett.
I fucking hate the Chief. He's awful. He's abusive.
So awful. He's abusive.
Psychopath.
Yes.
He's a straight up villain in Morrison's Run. Like,
well,
straight up.
He's...
He reveals that he didn't do it. It comes out in Morrison's Run that he was responsible for their accidents, just like in the show, but not because he was trying to solve immortality to stay alive and protect and keep Dorothy out of trouble. He did it because he didn't like them. He did it because he thought they were fucking jerks. Seriously.
Oh my God.
He's the worst. He's worse than Xavier.
And the funny thing is like, hey, you want to know something? If he's like so scared of
to view paradise.
He's so scared of Dorothy Spinner's Candlemaker power, but he doesn't realize, like, if you let her grow up and mature, she might be able to overcome it and handle it.
Yeah.
And
help her grow.
And instead he's like imprisoning her and treating her like a
Stifling.
child and stifling her to the
so
point
Republican.
where all she wants to do is make a wish to be free. So you're basically driving her into the arms of the Candlemaker. So I'm like, this is not going to be good.
Short-sighted.
And can I say how funny it is? The
yeah.
only thing I did like about the Chief is how funny it was that poor robot man is so depressed over his daughter rejecting him. And then the Chief is like, I can give your robot self ecstasy. So he gets robot ecstasy, which was hilarious.
Yeah, and then he's the first to notice the sex demon that is attracted to Rita Farr asking Flex Mentallo to give her an orgasm like he did in season 1 using his Flex reality powers.
And this is the weird thing.
By the way, this episode, a lot of that guy flexing his muscles to do different reality warping things.
And I'm like, are you complaining? Oh, I was about to say, I was like,
No.
yeah. What does?
Loved it.
But that's the thing is, how does he have sex? Because as soon as he gets an erection, he probably warps the world.
Yeah.
Like, even if he sees like a hot girl walk by,
Yep.
a black hole just formed because that girl was hot.
oh well.
But the one thing I didn't understand is I felt like she's attracted to him and he's attracted to her, yet she still chose just for him to pleasure her using his powers and to turn away and not look at her.
Yeah.
And I want them to explore this because I feel like the true way she's going to tap into her powers is she needs to fuck him. She needs to have a relationship.
She needs to open up.
She needs to have a loving relationship. So I want them to be together. I totally want them to be together.
Here for it.
It's so complex and complicated. This show is doing things
These
so
relationships
complicated.
are so tangled.
It's so hard to pull off well without it being a total clusterfuck mess.
Yeah. And still have that Morrison weirdness, like these delicious monsters.
Is the person who's making this? Who's like the showrunner behind
it? It's Greg Berlanti.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Faggot.
Yeah, Sabrina.
Of course it has to be a gay guy.
I would love to work for him.
You know who his husband is?
Robbie Rogers.
They just had a baby together.
Oh.
That does make me bitter.
How about these
it's
film and TV guys landing?
My job is I get to like make the Doom Patrol and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then I get to go
come home to my soccer player,
gorgeous husband, and then with my new fucking happy family.
I
hope he has like chronic diarrhea or something.
The other one is like Dustin Lance Black. Like Dustin Lance Black is like, I'm just gonna like make one movie about Harvey Milk and win some Oscars, and then go home and then just Olympic diver husband,
fuck the hottest British person,
the hottest thing
world
on the planet.
He is so hot.
Have you seen his Instagram workout like during the pandemic?
All of his YouTube stuff, all of it. Yeah, he's so gorgeous.
He's probably a psychopath, though.
Why?
Doesn't Tom Daly just feel like a psychopath to you?
Like a bad guy?
Like he gets really mad and like very easily, like he's just easily like put upon. I get that sense that he's the one who's like, we have to go home now. Like he's like that husband.
Well, he's just so pretty. I'm sure no one's ever said no to him. But that's the thing. Why did he choose some old guy?
I know.
He has some sort of daddy issue.
Yes.
I bet you he's like that, but I bet you if you like went, I bet you the best, here's the way you would sleep with Tom Daly. If you went up to him and he's like, please get away from me. And I'd be like, have you gained weight? You look fat. And then he'd be like, oh my God, make love to me.
Exactly.
Anyway, Doom Patrol.
It's so good.
So because Rita is coming and having memories of how her fucked up childhood.
Of her mom sleeping with producers too.
Yeah, and like watching her mom bone producers to get her a career.
Yeah.
But her
and
orgasm...
she can't come because of it.
Yeah, and her orgasm is opening up some sex demon, which then calls the sex men. And the sex men are literally just Ghostbusters with Ghostbuster lasers for sex demons. It's the funniest thing ever.
Talk like... the way that they talk like 70s porn language.
Yeah.
Like the way they speak to you is like, it's on now. It's so good.
And Jane is no longer in control. And the problem is they forgot the reason Jane's they're kind of like, Jane, you don't have powers. There's no reason you should be in control. And they forgot Jane is the person who knows how to like get food, live a life. Like she's the one that's like keeping
she has the tolerance and the patience
keep the body alive.
Robot Man.
Yeah, which is funny where the paint girl, she's like, we're going to leave. He's like, where are you going to go? Where are you going to make money? I don't know. I paint. It's like, oh shit. None of them know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
But I think who was the girl with the white eyes? Isn't she like the therapist religion starting one?
I know. Like
she was the religion starting one, right?
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
And that's when they found out that a baby was going to be born. And when the baby cried, the sex demon baby cried, it would kill all children. And of course, finally, this was something that all of the Jane personalities cannot have. And so Jane is Jane's character, but it was Hammerhead who took control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Basically shoved the baby back up the coochie of the sex demon.
After the sex demon births the baby, she unbirths it. Oh, it's so gross.
Oh my God. And then Danny becomes a tire?
So Danny becomes a tire, which got me excited.
Because right now he's a ambulance? Or car?
Yeah, in Gerard Ways, he was an ambulance for a while.
Okay, so this is leading to him being just
a
car.
I'm sorry.
A car traveling
I feel like
around.
Danny using they pronouns is new. Yes. Maybe ambulance, maybe something different.
Excited. This show's so good. Excited. I'm so happy
it's so good. I'm so happy to have it. We're very lucky.
We are. Thank you, Grant Morrison, with your brilliant mind.
Very lucky. Thank you so much. God, I hope WandaVision happens.
Oh, it's going to happen.
I hope it all.
It all will happen, but eventually. My problem now is like, how much are we going to have to sacrifice plot so that we can actually film things? Because people are having to rewrite stuff to film so that there aren't as many people.
Yep.
I need kissing.
Nobody's going to fall in love.
No. But you know what? It doesn't matter to me because in Asia, where they have quelled it, they have started in Thailand. They have started refilming all of my gay soap operas. So I will get all of my kissing through them.
Yay. So happy. It'll be fine. It'll all come. Phase 4 will happen. But we've got Doom Patrol.
And we're in July. We're 2 weeks. How many weeks away from an X book coming out?
Next week?
I thought it was the 22nd.
I think we have X-Force actually next week.
Oh, thank God.
Yay!
I need something.
Anything, even X-Force. All right, everybody.
All right, darlings.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. You know what? Please, if you like the show, leave us a little rating and review. That would be corking. But literally, in the meantime, just remember that if you read comics, well, that makes you queer. Bye.
Goodbye.
Damn.